Just click through there. Okay. Click where? The arrows.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Patricia Scroggs. I'm the director of the Charles B. Rangel International Affairs Program, and I'm here today to talk about the Charles B. Rangel International Affairs Summer Enrichment Program, which has opened for application, and we hope you're all considering joining the program, which I have to say is fabulous. Let me tell you first a little bit about the program. And I have been with the program for 11 years now, so 11 years of summer enrichment programs. And truly it is a fabulous program. The summer program is an undergraduate component to the overall Rangel program. The overall Rangel program has existed since 2002. The purpose of the program is to get young people involved in international affairs careers. We want to have a different presentation for America overseas. There was a time when most American diplomats, most American maybe aid workers, most American business people overseas were probably male, white, maybe East Coast. And there's nothing wrong with that, but as a nation, we are so much more. And so we really want to give opportunities to everybody to participate in the global community. And so that's what this program is all about, trying to find young people who are interested in making a difference in the world and give them the experience and the skills and the knowledge they need to go ahead and do that. So 2 components to the Rangel program. First is our graduate fellowship. And the second is the one I'm going to talk about today, which is the Rangel Summer Enrichment Program. So the Summer Enrichment Program has a couple of different objectives. The first one is to help young people to know more about what's going on in foreign affairs. The second one is to help you with career opportunities. And the third one is to give you enhanced knowledge and skills to pursue such careers. So for me, that means if you're the type of person who thinks, wow, I'm really interested in international affairs, but I'm still trying to think what I want to do and how I might be competitive to go ahead with it, this is a perfect program. You have 6 weeks to really focus on what's out there and how can I be ready to go after it. The program this year is going to take place at Howard University in Washington, D.C. from June 20th to July 31st. It has a couple of different components to it. First is academic. You'll take 2 courses and do a writing seminar. And the other is the career aspect. And that means, a lot of trips and different things to find out about different careers. And I guess the third is really the preparations. And that's a lot of work that we're going to do in terms of professional development. One of the things that's very special about this program is that we really have designed it to help a variety of people be able to participate. So often in Washington, there's all these wonderful opportunities, but they're unpaid. They don't provide housing. And so a lot of students simply aren't able to take advantage of that. We recognize that, and we really want everyone to be able to do it. So because of that, we pay for your tuition costs, we pay for your travel, we pay for your housing, we pay for 2 meals a day, and we provide a stipend of $3,200 to help defer the cost while you're here, as well as to replace the income that perhaps you don't have because you're not working. So the first thing we do is look at academic coursework, and you'll take 2 Howard University courses. These are regular Howard University courses. You get credit for them. Most schools will allow you to transfer back the credit. And one is History of U.S. Foreign Relations, and the other one is Political Economy. These are both programs that are really important if you're going to go ahead with a career in international service. One, How We Act Now really has, or really builds on our history. So knowing what the history of U.S. involvement in the world is really important. The second one is, if you're going to be involved in international affairs, you really have to understand economics, because economics so much underpins what our options are, how we're going to implement things, all sorts of things when it comes to international affairs. So that's why we picked the 2 courses that we did. Again, the regular Howard courses, so they're very intensive if you're going to finish them over a 6-week period. In addition, we have a special seminar in professional writing, and I really love this professional writing seminar. It's taught by a very distinguished ambassador who's been ambassador 2 different times, once in Asia, once in Africa. He's also a professional writer, plus he's just a really interesting, engaged, fun person to learn from. And the idea is to teach you about all different types of policy, professional or policy writing. So we'll look at things like, how do you write a good memo? How do you write a letter of how do you write a cover letter? How do you write a good resume? How do you write good analytical papers? So it's not just, academic writing. It's really focusing on how to be a professional, and it's a very different type of writing. And so it's very helpful. Actually, we do, 10 different sessions in this seminar. So you will walk away from the summer as a much better writer than you came in. So again, it's a wonderful opportunity. The next part of what we do has to do with our professional mission, which is to really try to help you figure out what you want to do in terms of your career. So we have you meet with lots and lots of different people. Certainly people in the executive branch. That could be State Department, USAID. We almost always do a trip out to the CIA. Maybe you're really interested in the U.S. Department of Commerce. We very much try to have you meet people from a variety of different agencies. You will meet with members of Congress and their staff to find out about, what it would be like if you either wanted to have a career on the Hill or simply use, a couple of years on the Hill to build your resume. Certainly NGOs and many different types of NGOs. So it could be humanitarian NGOs, it could be policy NGOs. Again, there's so many different types of NGOs in Washington, and so you'll meet with some of those representatives. Also think tanks, and there are a lot of different think tanks, and this could be something like the Brookings Institute, or it could be like the Council on Foreign Relations. So those are another great opportunity for individuals interested in international affairs. So we'll talk with some of them. We'll talk to foreign government officials, so we often go visit embassies, so you understand a little bit more about how they work with the United States in terms of diplomacy and outreach. Certainly international organizations like the World Bank, the Organization of American States we've done in prior years, a variety of different ones. Certainly business and law. So if we have people that are interested in international business, we'll certainly try to find those international lawyers. While we look at everything, our emphasis is the Department of State. The Department of State pays for the program, and we want you to understand well the careers that are available in the Department of State, which are really wide-ranging. I mean, certainly there are foreign service officers, but also civil service and maybe diplomatic security, or maybe specialists in information policy, or a variety of things. So anyway, you'll meet with a lot of people to help you understand what it is you might want to do. And as we have you meet with people, we have you meet with lots of different levels. So if you can see some of the pictures, you can see, if you notice the people up at the top, this group was meeting with both Congressman Rangel and also the Secretary of State at that time, Condoleezza Rice. So you get to meet with some very senior people. You also get to meet with people that are maybe 3 to 5 years into their career, that are maybe closer to where you are in your career, and everything in between. So you can really get a better idea of what people do at different stages in careers, what they like about their jobs, what they don't like about their jobs. So we try to give you a very broad view of what the possibilities are for international affairs careers. As I mentioned, as we're trying to do all of these things, one of the things we do is visits. So sometimes we're here at Howard and people come to speak to us, but we also take a lot of very cool visits. So again, Department of State, always, USAID, we go up to Capitol Hill. We every year take a really interesting tour of the Central Intelligence Agency, something that a lot of people haven't seen. Maybe the World Bank, Organization of American States, different types of NGOs, the National Security Council, Foreign Service Institute, maybe a foreign embassy, and certainly meet with different members of Congress. I'm just looking at some of the pictures below to show you. The one on the left, of course, is our group going up to Congress. The one in the middle is also Congress, because it's Congressman Charles B. Rangel. Then the one at the right, where people have very festive clothing, that was a trip we took to the Embassy of Saudi Arabia, where they allowed our fellows to try on some of the traditional Saudi outfits, which was a really interesting chance to learn more about Saudi Arabia and to learn more about its foreign policy. I have some others. Okay, so I'm looking up here. So if we're going to go from top, I'll start from top left. That's a trip that we took to the World Bank. The one right next to it on the top was a trip we took to the Foreign Service Institute, which is where Foreign Service officers learn things like language skills, leadership training. So we went there, and that was that trip. The one in the middle on the top is a trip we took to the Global Fund on Human Rights. So that's an NGO that supports human rights efforts around the world. On the top right, of course, is the White House. So we often take a trip to the White House while we're there. Underneath that, to the bottom left, is a trip we took to the U.S. Department of State. Again, we do that every year so that you can learn a little bit about foreign service careers. Next to that is the Caribbean Carnival Festival. So one of the nice things about our program is it gets you to be in D.C. for 6 weeks. And there's so much that goes on in D.C. during the summer. There are festivals during the weekend down on the mall. There's the big 4th of July celebration, Memorial Day celebrations. So being in D.C. and being in a D.C. that's so multicultural is really a wonderful part of the summer program. Next to that is a picture that we did at the Foreign Press Center. So it's a center where we work with foreign press from many different countries. So we had a chance to tour there and talk to both Americans who work with foreign press as well as the foreign press themselves to see how they learn about the United States. Right next to that is a trip we took to the Organization of American States. That is an absolutely fabulous building here in Washington, D.C. And we learned a lot about how we have multilateral diplomacy, regional efforts. And these are a group of states within the Western Hemisphere that work together to solve problems. So we had a really interesting tour there. So these are just some of the many trips that we often take during the summer. One of the things maybe I'll tell you here is, and I think this is something really special about the program, is that every year we pick 15 Rangel Scholars. Why does that matter? It's because it's a fairly small group, and that allows us to really focus the program on your interests. So certainly there are things we do every year, but one of the first things we're going to ask you if we offer you a position is, what types of things are you most interested in? So if you're really interested maybe in journalism, or maybe somebody else is really interested in international security, somebody else is really interested in global women's rights, somebody else is really interested in, human rights. I'm going to make sure that we have those themes running throughout. So we do some of our programming based on your interests to make sure that we're really getting at the things that are of most interest to you. So this is in no way a cookie-cutter program. It's a program that's really revolving around your interests and how we can best help you to get ready for the career that most interests you. Okay, selection process. The application to this deadline this year is February 2nd, 2017. The application is open now. If you haven't already gone there, it's www.rangelprogram.org. And please, press on the Apply Now for the Summer Enrichment Program. So again, you'll apply by February 2nd. We have a panel that meets and reviews all applications, and we'll let you know whether or not we can give you a spot this year by March 2017. We pick 15 scholars. That's what we call our undergraduates who participate in this program. We also pick about 10 alternates. Because students do have many options during the summer, we often go to alternates too. And so, again, we'll pick both people that are scholars and alternates. And if you're chosen as an alternate, there's always the possibility that we will be able to offer you a spot before the summer's out. Before the program starts. Okay, eligibility. These are three things that we absolutely have to have and that we don't have any flexibility on. The first thing is you have to be a U.S. citizen when you apply to the program. If you're a permanent resident, unfortunately, you have to wait until you're a U.S. citizen to apply. You have to have a cumulative GPA of at least 3.2. If you have a 3.185, that's not a 3.2. It has to be a 3.2 or above. Again, it does not mean that if you have a 3.2, you wouldn't get it if there's someone who has a 3.8. It just means we need to see that 3.2 on your transcript. The next thing is you have to be a full-time undergraduate student with at least sophomore status. How do we define sophomore status? Well, mostly we look at 30 credits. That said, we understand that sometimes schools look at it differently. So, some schools have a different standard. So it really depends on how your own school looks at it. If you don't have 30 credits, you might put a note into us and explain how your school looks at sophomore status. So again, if you're one of those schools like, I'm trying to think, like Princeton gives, 1 credit per course rather than 3 credits per course. In that way, that would be 10 credits? Might be sophomore status under that scenario. So again, at least sophomore status. Application requirements. Okay, so our application is an online application. Everything is done online. We're going to ask you lots of questions. You just go in and look. The normal ones. Where do you live? What year are you? We'll ask about some of your international experiences, your work and volunteer experiences, honors and awards. So you're just going to fill in the online application. You're going to put in an interest statement of 500 words that explains why you're interested in a career in international affairs and how you think this program is going to assist you in pursuing this interest. So tell us a little bit, why are you interested in a career in international affairs? Kind of what kind of background you have that might suggest that you would be good at it, and how you see this program helping you move forward in your interest. Then you're going to upload some documents for us. The first one is your transcript. You have to put in a transcript from all colleges and universities that you've attended. Okay? So if you first went to a community college and then went to a different college, you need to put in both transcripts. If you studied abroad and also went to a college, you need to put in all transcripts from any college or universities that you attended. The next thing is you need to upload your proof of citizenship. That can be either your birth certificate, a certificate of U.S. citizenship, or a U.S. passport. Those are the 3 things that we'll accept. A social security card is not proof of citizenship, nor is your license. So again, birth certificate, passport, or U.S. citizenship certificate. Now, the last thing you need is 3 letters of recommendation. Now, for this, what you're going to do is you're simply going to type in who the person is, and you're going to type in their email address. We will contact them and ask them for a recommendation, and they will send it directly to us. So you don't have to actually do the uploading yourself. Your recommender will do it, and we'll do the outreach. However, you are responsible for monitoring to make sure that it gets in. You can see in your application whether or not your recommenders have put in their application or their recommendations. If not, please practice your diplomatic skills in asking them, okay? The most common reason people don't complete applications is because a recommender didn't put something in. So please work with your recommenders to make sure they get it in on time. All right, now tips for preparing a competitive application. Okay, the first thing is to review application requirements to ensure eligibility and to prepare. So just look at our website and see what is the program about and what are the eligibility requirements, just so you have everything together. Because you don't want to go through the entire application and realize that you're not available next summer during the period that it's going to take place. Or you fill out the whole application and you realize your GPA won't matter. Or you fill out the entire application and you realize, wow, I'm really not that interested in a career in international affairs. And that is not the best thing for you to apply to. So look at all of that. Just make sure you have what you need. Then I would say, you can start filling out the application, but then start thinking about your statement of interests, okay? Why are you applying? And identify your background, experiences, and skills that would make you successful in the program and a future career involving international affairs, okay? And again, a little bit about why you're interested in this program or why this program would, help you achieve what you're trying to do in your career. The next thing we're looking for is academic ability and rigor in studies. For that, we're looking at your transcripts. And, you can have any major, but certainly we're looking for someone that has taken a rigorous course load, and a variety of different types of courses. So certainly we like to see you've taken a course in English and one that has something quantitative. Maybe that's economics, maybe it's a math course, maybe it's statistics. Certainly we're interested to see, have you taken a foreign language? Have you taken any policy courses? So we just want to see that you, again, have taken rigorous courses and that you've taken a variety of different types of courses. But all you need to do on that one is to put in your transcript. If there's something you really want our panel to know, so let's say for some reason, your first semester was, you had a really bad first semester. Maybe you went in thinking you wanted to be an engineering student and realized very quickly that that wasn't going to work. You could always put an addendum to your transcripts that added maybe one, maybe two sentences, certainly no more, that explain that if there's something you really felt the panel needed to know. Now, that's a pretty major thing because there's something really important. If it's, you got a B because your teacher didn't like you, you think, don't put that in. But if there's something like, you were sick one semester or something like that, you feel like the panel really needs to know to understand your transcript, you can put an addendum. But I'm talking maybe one sentence, maybe two. This should not be a second essay. Okay, we're going to skip the next one, which is demonstrating need for financial assistance for graduate school because you're not going into graduate school. But what I will put in here is if you have anything that shows that you've had to overcome obstacles in your life, we are very interested in that. So, maybe you had to work especially hard. Maybe you're first generation college student. Maybe, finances was an issue for you to go to school. Maybe you were an immigrant or, something that shows that you had to be really resourceful and resilient in order to succeed. These are the types of things that you may want to mention in your personal statement. Certainly you want to highlight extracurricular, community, or volunteer experiences and any leadership roles. That said, you do not want to repeat your resume. You want to highlight certain things that are in other parts of the application and show how they all come together to explain either why you're interested or why you think you might be successful in a career in international affairs. If you think there's any honors and awards, certainly list all of those in the application. By the way, for the extracurricular, community, volunteer experiences, actually I apologize for this one, write down anything that you have. Sorry, this is for the overall application. I was thinking the personal statement, but for your overall application, put in anything that you want to highlight, extracurricular, community, volunteer, and if you had a leadership role. Leadership, again, there can be lots of different ways to show leadership. So it's not only that you were president of an organization or vice president of an organization. It could be maybe you were the person that coordinated the spring event. Or maybe you were the person that spearheaded the fund drive this year. So if you can think of words that show that you had a very active role in the organization that shows, special leadership, please tell us those things. We really do care. Finally, proofread all aspects of your application and get in all your materials on time. This is really important. I cannot tell you how often, someone's failure to proofread really undercuts their application. Remember, you're competing against a lot of people, and you want your application to be as good as possible. So again, you don't want typos, you don't want, grammatical errors. You want it to look good. Also, you want to get everything in on time. So when I say that you need all transcripts, please send in all your transcripts. When I say that you should be talking to the people who are doing your recommendations to make sure they get it in on time, please do. It's really important that you do everything that you need to do to get it in on time. If you have any questions, you should always feel free to go ahead and ask us. Lily Lopez McGee is with me here, and both she and I are very happy to answer any questions that you have. Now, finally, before I leave that, I'm going to tell you a little bit, because one of the things I like to talk about most is our fellows themselves, our scholars themselves, because they're truly fabulous. Again, we've had, over 250 in the last about 14 years, all of whom are fabulous. But let me tell you a little bit about some of them. So if you look at this, and I'm going to start again on top with the person on the left. Her name was Jessica Wamala. She came to us from Villanova University. You can tell she was a basketball player at Villanova. She did such a terrific job in our program and really cemented her interest in international affairs. So she went back, finished school. She did several internships at the State Department and did beautifully in all of them. She was so impressive that she actually won the Rhodes Scholarship and ended up doing her master's in England as a Rhodes Scholar, which is an incredible honor, not only for her, but for her school. Right now, she's in the Peace Corps. And we're hoping that she'll come back into the Foreign Service when she's done. But truly an extraordinary person who very much felt that this program was important in helping her figure out what she wanted to do with her life. The next person is Dieta Cravens. Dieta right now is a Foreign Service officer. She is training for her first tour, which is going to be in Caracas, Venezuela. After our program, she finished school. She's from Oklahoma. She applied for and got a Fulbright Fellowship to work in Malaysia, which was terrific. And then came back. She applied for the Rangel Fellowship. I told you we have a graduate fellowship. She used our fellowship to go to Harvard University, the Kennedy School, and got a master's in public policy from the Harvard Kennedy School, and she joined the Foreign Service when she came out. The person next to her is Teresa Williamson, who's now Teresa Ferguson. Also, when she graduated, she did a couple of different internships. I believe she did one at the CIA. She did a variety of different things, and then finally did join the Rangel Fellowship. She came in and got a degree and joined the Foreign Service. She has been able to do incredible numbers of things. So she has served in Seoul, Korea. She has served in Manila. And right now she is back in Washington, D.C., where she works on U.S.-African relations. So she's been a fabulous fellow. Next to that is Cedric Pulliam. Cedric has done a little bit of everything since he came out of our program. He currently works in the Office of Global AIDS Administration and State Department. He is a civil service officer, which means he's based in Washington, so he's not a Foreign Service officer, but works on AIDS issues for the Secretary of State. And he's gone back and gotten a master's overseas, and he's working also on his PhD. He's worked at USAID since he's left the program. So he's been able to do an incredible number of things. I'm going to go directly down below him. That's Justin Donovan. Justin decided that he was interested in international affairs, but from the academic standpoint. So he's finishing his PhD at the University of Florida, and he's interested in anthropology. So he's going to take his interest in international affairs and do international research. So he's done some fabulous research so far in the Caribbean. Again, Justin took this experience and looked and went academic with it. Next to him on the other side is Kelly McRae. Kelly also left our program, did a Fulbright. She was in Thailand for her Fulbright, then later came back, and then she taught afterwards. She stayed in Thailand and taught at a school, came back, joined the fellowship, got her master's degree, and currently is working in China. The picture there, she is talking to the president of Liberia, who just happened to meet when she was working for Congress. So Kelly's done fabulous things. Next to Kelly are three terrific guys. So on the left is Mohammed Zia. Mohammed left our program and began applying for things. Went back, he was from University of Maryland. He got a Fulbright and went to Jordan. He got a Luce Fellowship. He got the Truman Fellowship. And so he's still really interested in international affairs. He's always been interested in economics and international affairs. So again, he's still finishing his Luce Fellowship, but once he's done, we'll see what comes next. But again, he's really done a wonderful job going forward in his career in international affairs. In the middle, Wayne Pollard. Wayne decided to go into international business, so he works for a consulting company. I'm still hoping he'll come back, maybe join the Rangel Fellowship one day. But right now he's doing consulting work and doing a fabulous job of it. Next to him is Glory Chiza. Glory left the Rangel program and immediately did an internship with the Global Fund on Human Rights. He met them while he was part of the program and went ahead and did a really interesting internship with them. Worked for the Marshall Foundation. Then he began to work for the White House. So right now he is a deputy in public relations for the White House. This is his third tour in the White House since he left our program. He's also worked for the Department of Commerce. So he's gone on to do terrific things. Next to him is, on the left side, is Sydney Cross. Sydney was a Rangel Scholar that immediately when she graduated, she knew she wanted to go into the Foreign Service. So the day after, before she graduated, she applied for the Rangel Fellowship Program, went into the Rangel Fellowship. Since she's been in the Foreign Service, she's served in Tanzania, and now she's in Mexico City. So just to give you some ideas, these are the types of things that scholars do once they leave our program. And I think each of them would tell you that our program helped them to better define and to prepare for their careers in international affairs. I apologize, I've been speaking a lot. I hope it's been helpful, but I'm glad to answer questions. Lily, do we have any questions?
We don't have any questions from the audience, but one of the questions that we get frequently from some of the upper level classmen, juniors and seniors, is if you're an international studies major, is this a program for me? Because I've taken some international studies courses already. Is this a program that's a good fit?
Yeah, actually, it probably is a good fit because if you're an international studies major, you've probably already been thinking about these issues in terms of, where do I want to go? And so to be able to spend 6 weeks really thinking about what do I want to do with my career and be able to talk to people and be able to visit places really helps you sort out what you want to do most. Also, our program really focuses on helping you be competitive in that area. So it's often not enough just to have studied something. You really need to practice, how might I interview? So we spend a lot of time on things like, how do I interview for jobs? How do I, what does my resume look like? What should I be looking at for graduate school? So we have graduate schools come and talk. In 6 weeks, you'll really be able to better define what you want to do and how to get there. And if you're interested in international studies, it is a terrific area to do. Certainly the classes will be different, I would think, unless you've actually taken a diplomatic history class. I mean, that is possible. If you have, you're going to learn even more from it. And certainly the economics will be relevant. I mean, economics is always relevant. So I think whether or not you're someone who doesn't, who's considering it and doesn't have that academic background, or somebody who does have that academic background and knows this is something that they want to work on, I think both groups will find that there's a lot to offer in this program.
Another question that we often get is related to the recommenders. So for the, would you encourage students to get faculty members from specific departments, or does it matter where those faculty members come from? And then for the community leader, can that be someone like my career counselor that has been helping me the last couple of semesters? What does that recommender look like?
That's a great question, Lily. First, for your academic, find professors that know you and like you. So people that can be enthusiastic about you. It doesn't matter, what discipline they're from. I mean, certainly it might make sense to have something in your major because maybe you've had more than one class for them, but somebody that you know really well. We don't care if it's the chairman of the department or somebody that's been there for 2 years. We really want someone who's enthusiastic and knows you. So again, I know that can be a little bit harder, and particularly when people go to larger schools where the class size can often be larger. If that's the case, you still have a little time before the application comes in, so really you should all be spending some time going to office hours and getting to know a professor or two, because you're going to need letters of recommendation as you go forward. So please spend the extra time, get to know somebody, and pick the person that can give you a good recommendation, that's enthusiastic, that knows your work. For me, if it were me applying, I would certainly give them a copy of my resume. I would remind them what classes I took with them. So I took, this class and I took this class. These were my grades. My paper was on this or something. That can be really helpful to help them to write a good letter of recommendation. Also, talk to them about what you're applying for. We really want them to write about this program, not a generic letter of recommendation. So ask them to say, put in something that says, I think they'd be a really good candidate for the Rangel Summer Program because they're academically strong, they're intellectually curious. So you can really talk to your recommenders about how they can write a good recommendation. If you want to see what your recommenders are going to fill out, you can look at our under application requirements. We do actually have a link so you can see the type of questions they're going to be answering, so you can work with them to try to give them any pertinent information that they need. So again, if you're academic, you're going to pick 2, and they're both going to be, professors that know you and like you. If need be, particularly for those of you who are in really large schools, we occasionally will ask, can I have a TA? I really don't know. My TA really knows my work well. Yes. If the person is very enthusiastic about you, I would still have at least 1 come from a professor. 2, use the TA only if you cannot get a second professor, and then make sure it's someone who's going to be able to write a good letter of recommendation for you. The second one is, who's the community leader? A community leader is someone who can give us insight into you as an emerging professional. What does that mean? It's somebody that can talk about things like your work ethic, your interpersonal skills, your organizational skills. So it's someone who's seen you get things done. Maybe it's your supervisor at work. Maybe it's your supervisor at an internship. Maybe it's the faculty advisor to your student organization. Maybe it's your career counselor, or your, what did you ask about?
Career counselor.
Yeah, someone who can really, talk about the type of skills that we're looking for. It should not be a family friend. It probably shouldn't, it should be someone that can really kind of give us an idea of what you're going to be like as a professional, right? And also is speaking to this opportunity. So we want them to say something like, they have really great skills, give us some examples. They're the type of person that would really take advantage of the summer enrichment program to learn a lot and use that to become a professional. So again, You want to pick the right people, you want to give them information about the program, and you want to ask them to answer all the questions and also write about, write to this opportunity, not just something that's very generic. Nope. Okay. Where are they today? Let's see. So questions. Any more?
Not right now.
Okay, so you see from our very last slide that if you really want to move toward a career in international affairs and you want to accelerate your movement, you want to join the Rangel Summer Enrichment Program. So again, we hope you all apply. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Lily and me. We also have Cynthia Valentine, who's our program assistant, who's also very willing to answer questions. Thank you for your time, and good luck on your applications.